Okay. Hi, my name's Katie. I'm an addict.
Hey, Katie.
Hey. I obviously don't need that. I speak plenty loud. First and foremost, I want to start off by saying, like, I know a lot of people say it. I am stupid honored to be up here speaking. Because as you will learn, recovery has taken me a really long time to like actually have a solid foundation with, right? Brittany mentioned, it's my first time sharing my story, so it's actually my second. Because the first time I did it was 10 years ago, and I was super fresh out of rehab in California, and I made it all about my trauma. It was basically an hour and a half long trauma dump, and it was terrible. So here's to hoping that this one goes better. You know, I'm currently working steps with my sponsor. I want to start off with this. I have a sponsor. My sponsor has a sponsor. I have a home group. I really do try to make that meeting every week. I now have a service commitment, and like now I'm speaking, and I'm getting goosebumps because like I truly, in my heart of hearts, did not think I would be here and be at this spot. I'm also a really emotional person, so if I tear up at any point in time, I'm sorry, right? All right, so I'm going over steps with my sponsor, and my sponsor says, hey, remember this if you ever go and share your story. And one of the main things is what we used to be like, what happened, and what we are like now, right? So I'm gonna try to stick to that. And yeah, so, all right, so I am obviously originally not from here, if y'all can't tell. I'm one of them damn Yankees. I grew up right outside of Philadelphia. I have a brother and a sister that, you know, are most related to me by blood. My parents divorced at a young age. I would like to say it's pretty traumatic, because, like, for being a kid it was, right? But I've gone through a lot worse, and, like, now I realize, like, they did the best that they could, right? My dad worked a bunch, right? So my mom split out. Great relationship with my mom today. My mom is one of my best friends. I want to make that very clear. Like, we talk about way too much, probably stuff that, you know, mother and daughter shouldn't talk about, but we do, because, like, I've gotten past whatever's happened. So I was really young whenever my parents split. My dad was a single dad, and we ended up having an in-law suite. My grandma moved in. So essentially my grandma raised me, right? Because again, I was really young. I now know this after my dad died. I did not know this then, because in my eyes, you know, my dad is my hero. He's a strong man, whatever. My dad was a really bad alcoholic. Was not aware of it at the time, right? Because I thought it was normal for people to come home and drink like a 6-pack, 12-pack, 24-pack, however much he drank, right? So I thought that was normal. My relationship with my siblings, I'm working on fixing that today. Before, it used to be a decent amount better. So my sister, her and I were pretty close. My brother, from the moment I could talk, did not like me. The moment I could take his toys, he did not like me. That continues up. So my brother's an officer today, and here I am, you know, the junkie, recovering junkie. I want to make that very clear, though, right? Some religious trauma in my house. Grew up Catholic. That was rough. Kind like go in and, you know, don't say the rosary every night. You're on a shit list, right? So it deterred me from religion for a really long time. So yeah. Anyways, there's a stage, right? I didn't know then, but like what I can tell you right now, like hands down, probably my first addiction was probably attention. Let's be real, right? And that is something I'm working to overcome. I was really intelligent growing up, put in advanced classes, everything like that. I had all of the potential in the world, right? So I always felt like really out of place though. you know, like always, I had friends, do not get me wrong, right? I had friends, but I always felt like I was on the outskirts of friends, never like a part of. And that was, you know, difficult. So then I can like remember watching like The Real World, right? And some girl named Frankie on it, she explained something really well, which is like, hey, how do you release like your emotional pain into something physical? So I started like another addiction very early, and the addictive behaviors is like I started self-harming at an early age, you know? That ended up blowing up in my face whenever I was in like 6th grade. So I went, said something, and made a comment to my brother, and I was like, you know, sometimes I just wish I lived with mom. Well, apparently I shouldn't have said that, because within 3 days, my dad had called my mom, said, you need to come and get your daughter. And I was shipped off to live with my mom in South Carolina, right? So living with mom, whatever, super confused as a kid. Like, I don't know if I like women, I don't know if I like men, you know, this is whatever. Anyways, I'll just be honest. But there, I had a really good friend, and she like reintroduced me to like the God thing, right? I was like, great, like I finally felt a part of. So did a lot of stuff with that. And then I got into a relationship with a woman, and the very long and short of it is that the people who had taken over the church like forced me to come out to my mom. So then that set off like a whole thing, right? So I come home one day. So that just added to the, you know, religious stuff, right? They basically told me, hey, you can't help out with the kids. You obviously don't want a closer relationship with God. If you're doing these things, you know, whatever. So that was hard for me. So I finally felt like I had been accepted, and then it was ripped away from me really quick, because I can make any choice I want in this life so long as I'm willing to deal with the consequences, right? Fast forward, I come home one day from school. I'm probably about 16 at the time. Find out that, you know, my mom's sitting there and she's crying, and I'm like, yo, what's wrong? She's like, I don't want to tell you. And like, again, my mom and I have a very close relationship, right? And I was like, come on, mom, like you can tell me anything, it's fine. She says, no, you're gonna hate me. And I was like, whoa, okay, what's going on? So I find out at that point in time that the man who raised me is not my biological father. So that was, you know, good old kick in the shins. And how did I respond? I went out with my partner at the time, and I got trashed. From the very moment I started drinking, I have no limits. Learned that very quickly. Only thing I can really remember from that night is like we nared some guy's chest. Had a grand old time apparently, but I don't know limits, right? So profusely puking, like right off the rip, I don't stop, right? So the drinking continues for a little bit, and then, you know, I start smoking, and like I love smoking, right? It's great, it chills me out, at the time, not now, chills me out, and I'm like, oh, I love this, I want more. Something had happened, got introduced to pills during that time, ended up on like a really, really, really vicious cycle of like things to wake me up and things to make me fall asleep. So much so that I didn't get credit my entire year, my entire junior year of high school, right? Because I just didn't go. And like, I'd be sneaking around and this and that, and like picking up the phone before the school could actually call, or my mom get the call. It's like, oh, you know, Katie's absent from school today. Don't know how I managed to do it, but I did it for a whole year, right? Well, report cards rolled out, and if there's anything that I'm great at doing, despite my physical appearance, I am fantastic at running, right? I am really, really, really good at running from my problems. So I thought, hey, geographical change would fix it. So I moved back up with my dad. thinking, everything would be the same as it was when I was in 6th grade. I'm still gonna have all the same friends, whatever. I thought wrong. So got into more stuff there up in the Northeast. Obviously just like anyone, drugs are really bad. Somehow I ended up doing like more and more and more painkillers until, I hit a lot of yets, right? So whenever I first started doing that, I was like, oh, at least I'm not doing it this way yet, or at least I'm not doing this drug. Oh, I'm not that bad, I'm not that bad, I'm not that bad. And every not that bad eventually ended up happening, right? So fast forward a little bit more, new partner at this time, they find some dope in my bag. They rat me out to my family. So I'm forced to go to rehab for the first time. Went to rehab, you can call it that, went to rehab, and I wanna say this with any rehab. I've been to really nice rehabs. I've been to really not nice rehabs. The experience is what I made it. Because I found more recovery in like the last inpatient rehab that I did that was state funded, than I did at the bougie one out in California that did acupuncture and HARP therapy and this and that, right? So, and I'll get to that, right? So, the long and short of it is, with that, is I get out of rehab, I'm supposed to do IOP, I go right back to ripping and roaring. I'm still, at this point in time, I'm selling pot, whatever, some other stuff as well. But I immediately start going back to dope. It was like a matter of 3 days. I dealt with a lot of stuff. Ended up getting drunk at my grandmother's funeral, which is what set everything off. Anything in my life, alcohol has been a constant. I identify as a drug addict, but alcohol is a drug, right? Shit takes me to my knees every single time. Because I'm really good. I can have just one drink until I can't. And then I drink really addictively, and then the drinking's not enough. So I go right back to ripping and roaring, still selling, whatever. I'm young, right? I'm dumb. I'm really dumb because, the drug task force comes in on my dope person, whatever. And I get popped. They're like, hey, we know what you're doing too. And I was like, okay, here's the keys to my safe, and here's an admission of guilt, right? So I caught a felony charge for that. End up going to rehab again. And really just the long and the short of it is, I'll share most of the details with it. I run from my problems. That's really what it is, Thought I got it together out in rehab in California. I was skinny, I was pretty, long blonde hair, super tan, living the life, right? I get pregnant. I get pregnant with my son. I'm an asshole. I use while I'm pregnant, right? So I've now lost the opportunity to go back home, back to Pennsylvania, to go and raise my kid. I meet a guy. He's like, we're gonna tell my family that the kid's mine. We'll go back to West Virginia and live there. So begins a really long and vicious cycle of a relationship that we were not good for each other. Lots of drugs. I can always get clean. I was always able to get clean for my kids, right? Until he wasn't able to. First time CPS got involved, my son was about 4 months old. My ex's mom called them. She needed to. I was sleeping next to my son who was wailing and crying, and I wasn't waking up. I do okay. Somehow within the system, they mess up somewhere, so an improvement period that was supposed to be between 6 and 9 months long ended up being about 18 months, but I get my son back, right? It's awesome. I'm so pumped about it. It's me, my little man, my partner, you know, we're living the life until we're not, right? Because I think I can fix people. I can always fix people. Let me find someone broken, I'll be able to fix you. Here, let me just help you. I hid a lot of stuff. I hid a lot of stuff from my partner's family at the time. You know, there's a lot of stuff that's going around in the background. We're seeing people we shouldn't see. We're doing things we shouldn't do. You know, it's just bad. Like, my son was coming on runs with us. Like, no, absolutely not, right? But that's the insanity of my disease, is that, like, I don't care. I don't care if I put my kid in danger. I don't care if his diaper needed to be changed, you know, an hour ago. He's gonna sit in the car because, like, I was not the best version of myself. You'll see me get choked up about my kids. You'll see why. So, finally get clean, finally get him on the wagon. Life is great, right? Find out that I'm pregnant with my daughter. Yes, right? Awesome. It honestly is a blessing. It had been 3 years. Wasn't planning it, but was excited about it, right? So everything's great. I hated being pregnant. It was always awful. But everything was great. Until, you know, situation happened. I use at 8.5 months pregnant, and it sends me into early labor. So I end up in labor at the hospital, you know, whacked out of my gourd. Obviously my daughter tests positive immediately. I'm not allowed to go home with my newborn. My son gets taken again, and I'm like, shit, I gotta stop. So I do. I get my kids back in 9 months. One of the fastest improvement periods I've seen. It was hard, but I did it. It was really hard, but I did it, because, like, my kids are my everything, right? They're not my only thing anymore, but they are my everything. You know, life's going good. I'm clean. I managed to buy a house. What? Buy a house, you know. I finally have roots somewhere again. I don't feel like I'm going to be ripped away from anything. Until I got really tired of trying to fix people. I got really tired of, you know, not getting attention, because that's what I love, right? Not getting the attention that I want. I'm not getting the praise that I want. Nothing is ever enough at that point in time in my life. So I finally just said, screw it, right? And I used. Knowing damn well what was gonna happen, right? Because my ex and I do not do well on drugs together. It's just really, really, really bad. So I used, and now mind you, anytime I put a drug in my body, I go absolutely insane. And it's not like the cute kind of insane. It's like, hee hee hee, I'm gonna go around and I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. No, like, I think the cops are after me. I think all of y'all are out to get me. Everything's a sign. The cars on the side of the road mean something. You know, if you said the word nobody in front of me, I'm like, who is nobody and why do they care? It's bad. Like, we could be having a conversation about chocolate chip cookies, and you can tell me that you like oatmeal cookies more than I do. And I'm like, why do you hate me? Like, what did I do? Because that's how my brain works, right? Like, me and drugs do not mix. Finally end up losing my relationship when I actually want to go to treatment, because I need to, because I know I'm going to lose my kids, right? I'm not able to. Something happens, I'm not able to. It was bad. My sister ended up driving like 6 hours because, like, she knew I wasn't in my right mind. She came and saw, and she left after the weekend, and CPS was called. 3rd time losing my kids. If you notice, I don't have my kids with me today. As much as I would love to have them with me today, I finally made the right choice, right? So finally getting treatment. My cousin's amazing. A lot of y'all know my cousin. He's an absolutely amazing person. He made some phone calls, got me hooked up with a woman here who, has some sober livings. She's spoken here before, and like they helped me, right? So I go to treatment here in good old Tennessee. And that's not to say anything negative about good old Tennessee, because I love it here, right? But the treatment facility was rough. I really like coffee, and they had 1 cup of coffee a day, and I lost my ever-loving mind whenever they told me there was no coffee. But that's where some roots finally started with recovery, and it's where like I like really looked at things, right? That set the foundation for Tennessee. So I come out here, and my goal is, I'm just gonna go back and I'm gonna get my kids, and they're like, no, like, you're out of chances. Like, you have done this so many times. And I'm like, no, I'm gonna fight it. I'm gonna fight it. I'm gonna fight it. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. Ultimately, I made a really good decision, and I relinquished custody of my children. Signed over my rights to my kids, because every time they've gone into CPS custody, they've been with a very, very, very wonderful woman. I am beyond blessed to have her in my life. And I feel like most mothers who sign over their rights, they don't get to see their kids. They don't get to talk to their kids, whatever, right? I still get to, and it's only because I'm clean, right? So what I used to be like, what happened? All of that, right? And then in between, I may or may not, after coming to rehab here, I may have had like a few months slip, because like I thought it would be okay. And I thought if I did like one drug that I had never done, like I wouldn't have a problem with it. Very quickly it escalated back to dope. Lost my mind again. Definitely lost my mind again, and that network that I had built here came in full force, had like a mini intervention for me, and then I went to detox again. I'm really grateful to say that like that's my last detox. That was over a year ago, right? But it won't be my last detox if I don't continue to work a program like I work today. So, after this last one, I still drug my feet. Let's be real. My last sponsor, we had to part ways because like I wasn't willing to put the work in, because like I don't like to look at myself because I like to run. Yet again, right? There's a lot of time still on that clock. Oh no. I'm really anxious. Yeah, like I'm really anxious, y'all, if you can't tell.
Wonderful. Great.
Wonderful. Keep going.
So, what it's like now. So I came here and I threw myself into the program, right? Whenever I first got out of rehab, when I got here, almost 2 years ago, I threw myself in. I took suggestions. And I didn't take all of them. And if there's anything that I've learned in working the program, because I do work a 12-step program, I don't really care what program, like what kind of meeting I'm in, because like recovery is recovery, right? For me, recovery is recovery, and I know that there's a place to go whenever my ass is falling off, hands down. I am less scared walking into a meeting, a 12-step meeting, than I am like down in the ghetto. Like I'm good going to a meeting. Like I might get a little anxious, but like I'm good at a meeting, because like we all have different stories, right? But the thing is that like so long as I can pull something from whatever someone is saying, like that's the goal. I don't know, take what you need and leave the rest kind of thing. So got myself really thrown in, and those are the people that saved me whenever, they were the people that did not give up on me whenever, I decided to relapse a little bit over a year ago. Very, very, very blessed for that. So I got out of that detox, And I was still very begrudgingly, like, I wasn't doing anything, let's be real. I was barely working the steps, I was barely going to meetings, because, like, I always know better, right? I always know better, right? There's, it's like the actor, you know, trying to arrange everybody, and if only everybody would do exactly as I would say, the show would be perfect. But, like, life isn't perfect, and that is really something that I've learned, right? I've realized today, like, I am truly, like, powerless, right? I live by the steps, you know? I might not follow everything very perfectly, but I really do try to live by the steps. Like, I am definitely powerless over my addiction. My life was definitely unmanageable. You know, I have a relationship with a higher power today that is stupid. And not like bad stupid, it's like good stupid, right? Like, I pray weird, okay? So, like, whenever I first got here, I would be like, hey, Sky Daddy, it's me! And, like, and it's because I had a lot of religious trauma, so I was really just, like, anti-God. I was unwilling to accept the concept of God. And every time I'd been in the rooms, you know, I hear group of drunks, good orderly direction, you know, so many different things. And, like, oh my God, I'm up here talking about God. What? Okay, so, and if anybody knows me, like, you know how big that is for me. What I've learned is that, like, it does not matter what my concept of God is, so long as I have one, right? It is a higher power, and, like, it's there, and it's got my back. I don't know why, and I don't have to understand why, because the beauty of it is, like, I don't have to understand the why today. Acceptance. I get the opportunity to practice acceptance, which is really scary sometimes, but from what I understand, like, if I'm not in acceptance of something, that means that, like, I'm not trusting God. You know, through trusting God, through trusting the process, after my last relapse, I was sleeping on my cousin's couch for about 3 months. And my sponsor at the time was like, you need to quit your job, which is the same job I relapsed at. And I was like, nah. And she was like, no, you need to quit your job. No, it was down on Merchants. Like, yeah, I needed to quit my job. I had nothing lined up. And then within 3 days, Miss Brandy texts me and she's like, hey, I need you to come down here and I need you to apply. So guess what? I listen to suggestions. I get a really good serving job, right? Like, really good serving job, and it, like, finally set me up, right? And, like, I was able to go through, finally moved off my cousin's couch, which was really cool, y'all, because he had a big dog, and you know, he wakes up real early. So I start listening to some suggestions, and I take that job, you know, and I move into my place, which was another suggestion. And I start listening to suggestions, and, like, things get better, right? And that's weird, because, like, things don't get better for me, and if they, you know, but they do today. You know, I don't feel like I'm on the outside anymore. I feel there's a lot of times when I'm still anxious, don't get me wrong, y'all see me rocking up here, right? Like, I'm a stimmy Timmy. And, like, I get anxious, and I get fearful, and, you know, there's so many different things, but, like, if I take a moment and I take a breath, like, and I'm like, all right, God, like, thy will, not mine, be done. Like, I don't call him Sky Daddy anymore. Still pray a little weird, you know. I've said it before. I start with, like, hey God, it's me, Margaret, and he knows it's me. Like, he knows. My name might not be Margaret, but he knows, you know. And the progression that I've had in, like, my spiritual journey is, like, whoo. I listened to suggestions today. So after my last sponsor and I broke up because, you know, unwilling to do the work in on myself, I reached out to somebody and I was like, hey, I need a suggestion for a sponsor. Took their suggestion, And like, I listen to her now, which is like weird, right? Like, you know, my partner can attest to this, like, someone will tell me to do something and I'm like, no, do it my way. That's not right. Except for whenever it comes to like my sponsor, right? When it comes to my sobriety. Because like I'm still clean today, right? So I listen to the suggestions that my sponsor makes. I listen to the suggestions of people. So, and I squirrel really bad. I end up getting like hurt. I don't know if I got hurt. My back starts acting up really bad. And I start having some health issues when I have that good serving job. And like things have been put into place somehow, some way, you know. My roommate ends up just like right around the same time. I somehow managed to get like a really good work from home job, right? Really great insurance, and y'all can see me. I'm sitting here. I'm popping my leg, and it's because like, but I'm still hurting, right? I'm still dealing with all of it. But like, I have faith today that like, it's not even gonna happen the way that I want it to happen, right? Because like, you want to make God laugh, make plans. I try really hard not to like plan things anymore, unless it's like a haircut, and even then I'm like trying to walk in and then go figure they can't fit me in, because like it's so important for me to be prepared today, but I don't have to plan everything out, because like whatever happens in my life is God's plan for me. So really blessed to have the job that I have, right? Beyond blessed. There's no lie about that. I'm miserable at my job, like even currently, right? Because that's not me anymore. So if you had spoken to me 6 to 9 months ago, like I'd be like, I'm never working in recovery. That's dumb. Because I was a house manager at one of these sober livings at one point, and I was like, there's too many people. There's too many people. There's too much pressure. And it's like, now I'm exploring options about like how I can continue to help people, you know? And that's really crazy. Like, I'm now willing to be like, okay, cool, you know, maybe I am made out for this. Yeah, with the little step, I don't know. Just like whenever Brandy asked me to come and speak, she was like, all right, so when you coming? And I was like, I don't want to, but I will. Let me at least get a year first, right? I think what, today's the 23rd? Something like that. 24th?
25th. It's the 25th, y'all.
I'll miss in a couple days. Can you tell I'm really anxious? So we made these plans a while ago because I hadn't even had a year yet, and like, I have what, 13 months now, and like, I've got 13 months now, man. I start my day, I try to pray every day, and like I have this really strange prayer that like my sponsor made me do, and she's like, you need to do this, and I was like, okay. So like I start my day with a prayer, and it's like a very large portion of it is like, please show me willingness to continue in my recovery, right? And then like opportunities like this open up to where like I'm stupid anxious, you know, I can barely make eye contact with anybody. That's why I didn't wear my glasses, so I don't have to.
True story.
You know, if I can't see you, you can't see me kind of thing. But like, for some reason, just whenever I listen to what is suggested of me, like there's so many more opportunities that like open up, you know? I got to go and see my kids. Like what? Like because I'm clean, I got to go, and because I have this job, because I listen to suggestion after suggestion, like I got to go and see my kids. And like I had to deal with some hard stuff, man. Cause my son, he's smart, and he was like, didn't you do drugs? Why are you not in jail? I was like, whoa, that's a really good question. I was like, I don't know, but I'm really happy that I'm not. My kids don't call me mom either. For anybody who's dealing with like anything that's like kid related, right? My kids don't call me mom. And it hurts. I'm not gonna lie, right? But here's the thing, at what point in time was I a decent mom to them? The woman who has them has been more of a mom to them their entire life than I have. She and her husband and her kids have been like the only constant stable thing that my children have had. So like she's earned that right. And like my kids are a little confused, don't get me wrong, they're young. You know, because they asked me, they're like, well, you know, you used to be my mom, but now, you know, I'm like, now I'm Katie, you know? And it hurts sometimes, like I'm holding back tears as I say it, right? But I can do anything in this life so long as I'm willing to deal with the consequences. And like I chose time and time and time again, like either a man or the drugs or my job or anything else above my kids, right? And now today, like what I get the opportunity to do is like, I get to put my recovery first. One of the best ways that things were described to me, way back in that second, I don't count first rehab as a real rehab. Because I wasn't really trying, I was forced to go, right? Every other time I was really kind of forced to. But like, I learned more and more and more and more each time. I didn't lose the knowledge that I had. So one of the most amazing things that I heard is that like, hey, you gotta go through, you gotta put your recovery first. And that's what I do, I put my recovery first. So I got that one there, right? And I don't know which way it's pointing, it'll go that way. So after I get my one, right, I get a job. And then I get a car. And then I get a house. And I get this and I get that, and I get like, I'm no longer spiritually bankrupt. I get all of these things, so I have like this stupid high number, like $1 trillion, right? Like 1 trillion. But if I go through and I take my recovery, that number one out of it, all that I'm left with is a bunch of nothing. Because I will hands down lose everything if I don't put my recovery first, you know? I don't work a perfect program by any means, man, I don't. But like, what I do today, like, I get up and I go to meetings and I'm in a great group chat with women, you know, and, you know, I speak. Most of the people in my life are recovering addicts or alcoholics today, right? And that is a blessing in and of itself. You know, there's a lot of times whenever I put a lot of pressure on myself that I'm like, hey, I need to be here. This is where I need to be, you know. I'm this amount of time clean. I had this, and this. And guess what? Like, it's gonna come in like the time that it's supposed to. And I wanna rush it, man. I wanna rush the process, and I want everything to be perfect. And again, it's progress. It's not perfection. Because if I had to be perfect, like, shit, if we all had to be perfect, we'd be screwed, right? I don't know, like, I work steps today, I work them slowly still, which is not great, but I still work steps and I do what my sponsor tells me, and I go to meetings and I try to help people when I can, and like, I don't know how to, I've got like a stupid, insanely smart, like, group of people around me that like that they're amazing, right? I have people that I can call at any point in time. Doesn't matter if it's, you know, 2 o'clock in the morning or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. If I'm falling to pieces, doesn't matter if we're even close or not, you know. I can go through and I'm like, yo, I think I'm about to make a bad choice. And they're gonna be like, nope, here we go, like, come on, and they'll grab me and like take me. So, you know, if nothing else came out of this, right, there's 2 things that I want to say. Because like, I can't keep talking, which is amazing for me. I can talk, man, but it doesn't matter what got me here. What matters is what's kept me here, right? I don't wake up spiritually bankrupt every day. I don't wake up wanting to off myself. I don't cry at seeing kids in stores anymore when moms won't like give them ice cream because like I'm sitting with guilt and shame and being like, I should have given my kids more ice cream. Like, it's okay, and like as I continue to work on myself, like it gets better, right? And then I heard this whenever someone spoke at a meeting one time, and like, you know, it's, and I'm not, hands down, not gonna put it as eloquently or as like mic droppy as this person did, but like the whole point of like sharing a story is like so long as you go through and helped one addict or alcoholic in the room, and like at the end of the day, like, hey, this helped me, right? Because I get an opportunity to give back, and I don't get a lot of opportunities to do that, but when it's presented, you take suggestions. And yeah, my name's Katie, I'm an addict, that's all I got.